Welcome to Red Eye. Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Shalhoub. Let's check in with TV's Andy Levy at the Red Eye Tease Deck. Andy?
Thanks, Tom. Coming up on the big show, an anti-Trump campaign plans to send millions of disapproving postcards to the president. Will this make the president stop and rethink his policies? I ask, as if there's a chance in hell that would happen. Plus, the New York Times says teenagers could be replacing drugs with smartphones. I hope they're not cutting their iPhones with laxatives. And finally, a woman named Alexa Siri says her life is a waking nightmare because of Amazon's Alexa and Apple's Siri digital assistants. Cortana, please send Alexa Siri some flowers. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Andy. Let's welcome our guests. She's studying law, so enjoy her morality while it's still here. Washington Times columnist Malice Jesse Otto. He's a student of North Korea, not South. It explains why he has no soul. So you got to see it written to get it. Observer columnist Michael Malice. 4 more years of his sadness. 4 more years. Award-winning essayist, political satirist, and liberal hunk John DeVore. Smile, DeVore. And he has the voice of an angel and the mind of a devil. Sitting right next to me, the host of the Anthony Cumia Show on Compound Media, Anthony Cumia. All right, let's start the show. Big Bird has been a big burden on taxpayers for too long. On Thursday, the Trump administration unveiled a budget proposal that would eliminate all federal funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the TV and radio entity that includes PBS and NPR. The move would save about $485 million, which is about 1/3 of total federal spending, I believe. Do we have a chart for that? Backs me up? Yeah, that's it. 3 easy slices. Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney defended the cuts in an interview.
When you start looking at the places that will reduce spending, one of the questions we asked was, can we really continue to ask a coal miner in West Virginia or a single mom in Detroit to pay for these programs? The answer was no. We can ask them to pay for defense, and we will, but we can't ask them to continue to pay for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
There you go. Michael, what do you think? Is it high time we cut off all PBS, NPR, the whole thing?
I'm a moderate, so I don't think the people who work at these agencies should be put in prison. I think they should be pardoned. But this is the best bang for your buck in terms of cutting the budget, because these agencies exist exclusively to spread evangelical progressivism, and they're lobbyists on behalf of the government for all the population. So by getting rid of these nefarious groups who just spread this kind of anti-American globalist, ridiculous message, which you have obviously been brainwashed by. And it's hard to wash a brain that small. This is exactly the first place that you should be cutting money.
Yeah, there you go. Now, what do you say to that, John DeVore?
Look at him. Yeah, look at it. I'm much prettier than you.
John DeVore, what do you think?
I think Michael Malice is pandering to conservatives on Fox News.
Conservatives don't want to cut anything.
I think Michael Malice is here talking power to power. That's what he's doing.
I listen to NPR.
Pander away.
Every morning I listen to NPR. I love the,
You know who else does are people in rural areas like West Virginia.
Okay, but look, I listen to them, and I like the shows, and I listen to podcasts, the NPR and the local station podcast. They do great in that space, I don't think they should get the federal money. What do you think of that?
Well, you know what you want? You want Sesame Street to go to HBO like it is.
It already is.
You know what's great about HBO's Sesame Street are the raw sex scenes and the violence. God. You want nothing but the market. You want to put educational programming on the market. Do you give your kids candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
No, none of those.
But the market wants it.
Well, it does. But you know what? I prefer the kids shows that are on PBS. My kids watch the PBS shows.
Well, kiss them goodbye, Tom.
No, look, they're not going to go goodbye because Anthony, it's what, 15%? They can do without that extra little boost.
Absolutely. Why do we sit through their stupid fundraisers for the tote bags if they need money from the government anyway? We're sitting through those things. And I got the answer. It's easy. Militarize Sesame Street. Then they could get part of the defense budget that's actually going up.
Yeah.
And it solves the problem.
Well, then what?
An Oscar in a tank.
That's it. So
he just pokes through, and Big Bird's like a part of the Air Force.
So they wouldn't really fight, but they would be in the equipment and to be.
It would be much more interesting to watch.
No, it'd be Starship Troopers with Muppets.
Wouldn't be bad, right?
Pigs in space, they have that.
Wearing the fatigues.
Yeah,
Madison. Did you grow up on these shows?
I loved Sesame Street when I was
Loved
little.
it.
Favorite show.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, they're still going to be on regardless of whether they have federal money. And we're not playing Monopoly. This is the real world. We have almost $20 trillion in debt. We got to cut somewhere.
Yeah. Gotta cut
And every dollar adds up. So yeah, it's a small percentage of our federal spending, but it's still important, and we have to cut.
Let me play liberals advocate.
You guys are monsters.
They always say there's just, Madison, it's just 1% of 1% of whatever it is. It's a small percentage of the budget. Why can't we have Big Bird? What do you say to that?
Well, they're still going to have Big Bird, regardless of whether the federal money pays for it. So I think that's argument is invalid to begin with. But like I said, every dollar adds up. So if we say, oh, this is too small, then all we're going to be cutting is things that take up a large percent of the budget, and then we're going to
That's how
be
they
in
waste a
complete
lot of money.
disaster.
The marketplace would never create Sesame Street. The marketplace creates programs that sell sugar cereals.
Okay, Sesame Street doesn't sell sugar cereals?
In the 80s and 70s, the way that it was created, it was a brilliant
What about
piece of
H.F. Puff and
educational.
stuff?
That was not PBS. That was
the market, and it also as educational.
Yeah, and it was like a stupid version of Sesame Street.
DeVore, you would
And it
keep
wasn't
talking about
educational.
Sesame Street, right? Sesame Street,
education, it's
the
propaganda.
Children's Television Workshop, they can sustain themselves. But
Educational programming.
Most of the money goes to local stations, and there's so many of them, and I think they can do. In fact, you know what? They're restricted because of that federal money, and I think they ought to hit the marketplace and let them compete. On the market, they can. Let them take a couple of commercials and things like that.
Wait, who? NPR?
NPR, yeah, let them sell some ad space.
Fine. But that's the marketplace. That's like Fox News. We exist here on Fox News to sell reverse mortgages to old conservative
but they have a
people.
good product.
Wow.
I like public radio, and they have a great product, and I think that they can survive in the market. I bet they would think so as
I think
well.
that the product will be completely different in a generation, and it'll be the same kind of trash. I'll remind you that conservatives are always railing against.
Yeah, well, you're right. The conservatives are railing against
They always rail against culture, and I'm like, well, that's what the market is giving the people.
You're wearing a hoodie, prima donna. Let's rein it in.
All right, next
Perspective.
story.
Oh, my.
The left is going to bury Trump in angry postcards. The Ides of Trump campaign launched this week, aiming to flood the White House with postcards venting at the president. To participate, write one, write a dozen. Then take a picture of your cards and post them on media. Then on March 15th, mail your cards to the president for now. I'm not sure why they included the for now. Until 2024 sounds a lot better to me. Organizers suggest writing about immigration or Russia or the environment. Yeah, nothing says protecting the environment like millions of postcards in the garbage. So as you can see, Americans are standing up to the Trump administration's tone of divisiveness and disrespect. And instead, they're calling for inclusiveness and understanding. Madison, what do you think of this? Old school, putting stamps on it, send it to the White House. He's not going to see these cards, is he?
I really doubt that he's going to see the majority, if any, of these cards. March 15th is over, by the way.
Yeah.
And they, I don't know why they're still pushing for this.
Well, they're
their
going to get.
Their big things was the Ides of March, which is March 15th. That's over. I think it's disrespectful to the president. He's never going to read these. And when you look at most of them that they have been sending and posting online, they're not even talking about issues. A lot of them are just insults against the president, not on issues. On his look, on things they don't like about him. Well, he's here and he's here to stay, and they better get used to it.
There it is, DeVore. Get used to it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, he's the president.
Yeah.
Who's arguing that? Is that something we're arguing?
Well, what do you think of this campaign?
They're
Sending
arguing
postcards.
it.
I'm arguing what?
No, they're arguing it. A lot of the people with the postcards.
They have a lot of nervous energy.
To this.
What if?
Yeah.
What if the president, right, before he goes to bed at 6 p.m., sits down and reads a couple 100,000 postcards and has like an Ebenezer Scrooge moment. Like, when he reads them, he's like,
He
oh,
takes
look
food
at me,
away from
I'm an
poor
idiot.
kids. I like it.
Excuse me?
Takes food away from poor kids. I like it.
Right. But then he has a moment. He has a moment where he realizes he's wrong and a garbage person.
Well, maybe. Although, Michael, I don't know if they're doing much convincing on these postcards because there's a lot of things about, oh, your orange hair and you're deplorable and all this
First
other
of all,
stuff.
I'm all in favor of every president being treated with contempt. These are disgusting people who have no right to be doing their job. However, what we're seeing here is how thoroughly the left has been defeated by Trump, because you had a year of campaigning against him and people were doing very effective things, social media, going door to door, organizing heavily against him. Then you had the huge march, then you had the women's march, and now it's to the point where it's like, I'll just write a note. I mean, these people have no tools left in their toolbox, and they're freaking out. And psychologically, they feel they have to do something because he's really hitting them where it hurts.
Yeah.
But they've got nothing left, and it's kind of fun to watch in a pornographic way almost.
Anthony, obviously you're having fun watching this, but let me ask you about the Ides of March. Do you know what that's famous for?
Yeah, that's the Julius Caesar.
Yeah, Julius Caesar. Now, do you think if they had an Ides of March against Obama, don't you think they'd be talking about, assassination, etc.? Wouldn't you be hearing that?
Double standard, Tom?
Maybe.
I never even noticed that. I should tweet about it. No, this is probably one of the most dangerous things they've ever done because they could get a paper cut. That would be, and they'd cry over that.
Especially.
The postcards, I looked through some of them. It looks like they got a class to write to the president. A lot of coloring and things and fun. For now is every president. President for now. So that makes no sense.
Everyone, they're all limited.
And if Trump isn't going out to his mailbox, damn it, more of these? Like outside to Pennsylvania Avenue to the mailbox and looking, oh, more of these things. I wrote to Richard Milhouse Nixon when I was a kid. He was the president at the time.
Little baby Kumi.
Yeah. And I wrote, and I got a postcard back from him that was just stamped Richard M. Nixon. So, and even then, as a kid, I knew it was BS.
You did?
Yeah. So,
Did you get
what do they think it's going to happen?
One day I'll grow up to be like you.
Comey is, help me, Henry. Comey is on to me. But it was all fun. He's not going to even know these got to the White House if they even do.
But it's
know why
not
it's
for
not
him, it's for
sincere?
them. It's to
It's
make
for
them
them.
feel better.
And it's also,
how do we know that?
It's also that conservative media have something to talk about. I mean, it's in your head. You're talking about the postcards.
You're getting in our head, DeVore?
That's part of the plan. That was in our meeting last week. We're like, how do we screw with Sean
But
Hannity?
why didn't they just have the guts to just go ahead and send the postcards? But they got to photograph them and put them on social media. It shows they're not. Yeah.
Attention. Ugh.
It's
I'm a
not
good
real.
person.
Oh, look at what I'm doing.
I'm fighting the fascist. Yeah, that's how you do-
Resist. That's their resisting.
All right, next story. American teens are growing less likely to do drugs. Yes, they're too busy doing things like this.
That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, researchers think teens have become less interested in drugs over the last decade because they're glued to their computers and phones. The New York Times notes that the use of smartphones and tablets has exploded over the same period that drug use has declined. And while correlation doesn't mean causation, scientists say interactive media appears to play to similar impulses as drug experimentation, including sensation seeking and the desire for independence. Gadgets also gobble up a lot of time that could be used for other activities, like partying. One girl said that phones are useful for kids who don't want to do drugs at parties because, quote, you can sit around and look like you're doing something even if you're not doing something, like just surfing the web. Or instead of sitting around on your phone, you could impress your friends.
That's why America's beautiful.
Isn't that amazing?
I love it.
And they're introducing a whole new generation to that wonderful song, right, DeVore?
Freebird, man.
Freebird.
We can all agree.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Well, what do you think of this, though? What do you think of the theory, first of all? Do you think it makes sense? Spending time on the phone, not doing drugs?
Well, I think there have been studies that prove that some aspects of social media fire all kinds of brain chemicals, dopamine, serotonin.
Yep.
And that people can, in theory, I guess, get addicted to them.
That's your job. Your job, you're like a drug pusher of social media. Your job was to make people look at viral videos, etc.
Yes, I have a long sordid history of creating clickbait.
Yeah.
This was a clickbait election, and all of the internet is run on emotion.
We were going to get off Trump just for a minute,
No, never. Never. I've written his name in lipstick on my chest, and I'm going to rip over my shirt at the best moment.
You're like Hester
I'm going
Prynne.
to take this company down from the inside.
Okay, Michael Malice. Does it make sense to, and
Where do you get a tan in the middle of winter?
Park Slope Tanning.
That's right.
Park Slope Tanning on 9th Avenue in Port City.
Michael, if it's true, if the devices are replacing drugs, is it necessarily a bad thing? I mean, people are saying you're addicted to your phones. Isn't it better to be addicted to a device than a drug?
It depends on the drug, right? I mean, some drugs are going to, like Adderall, it's going to help you write your term paper, kids. No, what I think is genuinely happening is when we were younger, people didn't know what drugs actually did, and there was a lot of misinformation in the media, thanks to Nancy Reagan, so you experimented to find out the truth. Now, you can go on YouTube, and every drug that everyone has ever tried, someone will explain their whole experience, and you listen to it, you're like, this sounds terrible, and it's going to ruin my brain. I'll watch the YouTube, and then I'll go on my smartphone. I think that's what's genuinely happening, and people are realizing drugs are not cool because the stigma's not there.
Hey, Michael is making good sense. The more information we have, maybe people don't want to do this.
I don't know. I think it has to do with some people not being able to afford drugs anymore. It's part of it. But I mean, listen, if people want to sit at home on their phones or sit playing Xbox, that's fine. I mean, that is better than people going out and doing drugs. But at the same time, when you look at what the research says, they're saying this is for teens, but college students are doing no less drugs. So they're still on social media just as much as teenagers are. So I don't think that we're seeing.
You don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
What do you think, Anthony?
But it's dangerous to do drugs or drink and use social media.
That's true.
But other than
You got to go the
that-
other direction,
Yeah,
right?
the other direction. No, I think it's true because I was walking here and some guy was like, "Hey, Twitter, you want some Twitter? What do you got? Snapchat? You want some Snapchat?" It was so it's kind of taking over the drug thing. I think it's harmless. I think they always go to the extreme. It's not drugs. It's not going to hurt you like that. But you can waste a lot of time that I think can be put to a better use, like playing Battlefield 1. I love that game.
Yeah, I've never had to sell my body for an iPhone.
No.
Just the DMT.
But should they be, is it sapping their life force?
Maybe this is why the music sucks now.
Why? Because of devices?
Too much Twitter, not enough methamphetamine.
But they're able to people are able to engage with they're making music on their devices now too, right?
As good as Freebird.
You know what they did in drug-wise to break Freebird? Please, that was amazing.
Yeah, right. That's why that song is amazing.
All drugs.
Yeah. Okay.
Fly high.
Coming up, Honey, I Shrunk the Mammals. Learn why a new study thinks tiny animals are our future. And my first book, Mean Dads for a Better America, it's available for pre-order, TomShalhoub.com. Check it out. People tend to focus on the positives of global warming. What about the negatives? Here's one. Rising temperatures could shrink our mammals, making horses the size of cats. It's true. A new study found that warm-blooded animals got smaller at least twice in Earth's history when carbon dioxide levels soared and temperatures spiked as part of natural warming. Here's an example. 54 million years ago, when the planet suddenly heated up, an early mini horse, seen here next to a modern one, got 15% smaller. A researcher explained, these guys were probably about the size of maybe a dog. When they dwarfed, they may have gone down to the size of a cat. So could the same phenomenon happen again? Scientists think so. It could mean that a typical normal-sized horse like this one could be someday become small enough to sit in that nice lady's lap. And look what could happen to another large mammal. Oh, I could live with that, right? Why not?
That'd be awesome.
We don't let them in the circus anymore, Anthony.
No, mini elephants would be great. A new trend for everybody. I don't know. Besides If you shrink a horse like that, the message Don Corleone could send to Waltz wouldn't be as impressive. Just to say the least. That would be the word. He'd just be like, what is this?
Exactly. What about like a dozen of them, though?
Yeah,
a bunch
maybe
of
quantity. You make it up in quantity.
Yeah.
Little mini horse heads. I don't know. All this proves is that there was global warming before man ever built anything. So I think it just negates the whole global warming thing. It's ridiculous.
That
It's a
makes
natural
sense.
occurrence.
My God.
Natural warming, right? I mean, like I said,
Yes.
54 million years ago, the climate changed so much.
Over
It
such a
shrunk
long amount of
horses.
time,
Shrunk horses.
the amount of change in the climate in the past 150 years is without precedent in history.
Really? When you had what about the 65 million years ago when the comet hit the Earth?
In the past 100. That is the dumbest thing. I can't even believe I
Facts are
listened
dumb-
to it.
facts are dumb to
we're not
stupid
talking
people.
we're talking about man-made. Yes, at one point there was a meteor that hit the
Ever.
Earth.
Yeah. More than one point.
You are just
there have been several points.
Well, look,
so let me
Look,
give some.
you know what? I like climate change research. You know who doesn't? Donald Trump. His budget today cut all of it.
Well, I mean, there's
Because if it's
plenty
not
of it
for-
being done in the private sphere, is there not? And on the university
So-
level, everyone's studying the climate these days, DeVore. Do we
Right.
have to have, the
Well, I just
federal?
want to add one other thing. We're also mammals. And can you imagine a Knee-High Kumia?
That'd be
I don't know
adorable.
if that's cute or scary.
Again, little tiny Kumia writing letters to Richard Nixon.
Can you imagine like a flock of Knee-High Kumias?
Just a little.
I think it'd be
good.
fine.
Army.
Look, Michael Malice. Well, what do you think? What do you think of the idea of the shrinking
I actually
mammals?
have a zoology background, unlike some people. So,
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Undergraduate?
no. My first job was writing for an aquarium magazine when I was in high school. Can you name two?
Oh,
excuse
really?
me.
A journalist? Oh, really? Dr. Malice. That's interesting.
Doctor,
Can
can you name two types of cloud formations and what they
I'm
look
sorry,
like?
this is not a quiz show.
Oh, yeah.
Cumulus?
If you're
Wait.
bona fide,
Nimbus.
Everyone gets
Interesting.
cumulus
It's like you don't know anything.
What's that?
Let
Well,
me
what about
explain some-
Stratus? Stratus. Oh yeah, come on. We were in the
Within
Scouts.
last 10,000 years,
Nimbus.
all the megafauna were driven extinct from all over the world except for Africa. You had the ground sloths, you had the woolly mammoths, you had the cave bears, you had the cave lions. This happens intermittently. You had actually miniature mammoths off the coast of California within the last 3,000 years, contemporaneous with Homo sapiens. So this is something that happens very frequently, and other animals change and adapt. That's why you have the Indian elephant, you have the African elephant, you have different types of rhinoceroses.
Right. So we adapt. Madison, what do you think of the tiny woolly mammoths off
First
the
of all,
coast of California?
where are we finding these scientists, Tom? I'm a little concerned about that. But even if we were to say they're correct and this is going to happen, which
Yeah.
again I don't believe it, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about like dogs and our house pets. So if horses are going to shrink down to dogs, how big are our dogs going to be?
little
Yeah.
thimbles.
You know,
The dogs are going way down.
my golden retriever, he's 80 pounds. He's 9 months old. But what would he be? 2 pounds? That's concerning to me.
Well, I think that
I care about my pets.
I think the pets are still going to be big because they're going to keep getting fed by the. Pets are getting bigger and bigger, are they not?
And we have air conditioning in the houses.
Yes.
They're getting smaller. You have like
So they
chicken
keep
bigger.
But what is global warming going to do to them, Tom?
I don't know. And Madison, I think that this is scare tactics, you know? I mean, getting us all frightened of little horses running around the world. I mean, DeVore, you're pulling out the big guns now. All right? Even I'm getting scared.
As you should be.
No.
As you should
Between
be.
this and postcards,
You know
it's
how
over.
hard horseshoes would be?
Tiny. You just lick them. You lick them and put them on.
Coming up, Halftime with TV's Andy Levy. And a brand new episode of the Red Eye Podcast is available now. Subscribe on iTunes and on FoxNewsRadio.com. Welcome back. It's time to find out what we got wrong and what we missed from TV's Andy Levy over in the Red Eye News Deck. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Tom, happy Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Big time.
Big time. Bigly. Speaking of bigly, the Trump budget will kill arts funding. I just want to be clear about the whole Sesame Street thing because it kept coming up.
Yeah.
HBO now has first-run rights to all the new Sesame Street shows, but after 9 months, they air on PBS stations at no charge. So assuming the stations don't go out of business, Sesame Street will still air on PBS. And that brings us to something you said, Tom. You said, Tom, no, you didn't say Tom. You said PBS, well, that would be weird if you had said that. You said PBS will be fine, that the federal money is only like 15% of their budget.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're right. In the big markets, like New York, Boston, PBS will be fine. It won't have any problems. Where they might be endangered by this is in the more rural and maybe suburban areas.
Yeah. They should. I think that the big city PBS should give them a little little scratch.
So I got to wait 9 months to tweet about Sesame Street so I don't spoil it for the poor kids? That's what you're telling me? This is crazy.
Wow. I love when you live tweet about Sesame Street. It's weird. It's creepy.
Anthony, the poor kids can't afford Twitter.
Oh, that's true.
You know that. Malice, you talked about how these are the easiest possible cuts for a Republican to make, which I think is absolutely true. But I also think, what's his name, the budget director, Mulvaney or whatever, I think he's being a little disingenuous when he says stuff like, we can't ask coal miners to pay for PBS. They're not paying for PBS, are they?
Right. I think this has nothing to do. This is a statistical rounding error. The effect of the budget's absolutely nil. This is a cultural issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're paying for PBR.
Yep. There you go.
Just like Brooklyn.
DeVore, I don't think Malice is pandering to conservatives. One thing about him, he believes all the crazy stuff he says.
And some of the not crazy stuff.
Yes.
Oh, so it's not pandering. It's just crazy fanaticism.
Yeah.
Rambling. The term is rambling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What a courageous man he is.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been to North Korea.
On the other hand, DeVore, don't malign HR Puff and stuff.
It was not. It was a subpar market.
It was a great show.
Sesame Street.
I don't remember a thing about it other than it was a great show.
It was not a great show.
Witchy Poo, right?
No, that was the Bugaloos.
Oh. Charles Nelson Riley?
That was another one. That was Stigma and the Sea Monsters, I think.
That was Match Game.
That's right. That's right.
The Ides of Trump postcards. Madison, I'm with you. Sending these cards, this does absolutely nothing to Trump. He will never see a single one of these. What it does is cause more work for postal carriers and whatever poor schlub has to actually go through the White House mail.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Malice, you said what we're seeing here is how thoroughly the left has been defeated by Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, I love this sentence in the Mashable article. They said, quote, the independently organized event, the postcard sending, is spearheaded by 2 Californian resistance leaders. Oof.
Oh, Jesus. Well, you know, it's just these people want to feel like they're important and they matter. And that's one of the big lies about democracy, is telling everyone they matter. And most people don't matter, especially John DeVore.
You son of a...
You saw that one coming.
You know, remember back in 2009 when conservatives had their mental breakdown and they dressed up like Colonial Williamsburg? Does anyone remember that? Anyone remember that? When they lost their mind and they put on wigs.
Are you talking about the patriotic movement known as the Tea Party?
Yeah, it's doing a crackerjack job right now with legislation.
Anthony, you said you wrote to Nixon when you were a kid and got back a postcard from him that had his signature just stamped on it.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was probably dealing with some serious at the time. He was going through some things. You know?
That whole the Nom thing and Watergate.
Yeah.
All right. I'll cut him some slack.
All right. Postcards are inherently dumb for the simple reason that all postal employees can read whatever it is you're sending. Like I have considered sending postcards to my friends that say things like, "Hope the rash cleared up."
I loved your last erotic postcard, by the way.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Teens are apparently replacing drugs with iPhones. My main takeaway from this is teens suck at multitasking. What is the problem here? Oh, God. Kumi, I thought this was curious. When DeVore said, we can all agree Freebird is a great song, you kind of made a face. Did I misread that?
No. Well, I was just wondering. It didn't make sense. I'm like, why is he using Freebird for this?
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a yo-yo.
All right. But you are agreeing it's a great song.
I love Freebird.
Okay.
It's a little overplayed at this point, but
especially if you grew up with WBAB.
yes, out on Long Island.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So is the national anthem, but we love it.
Oh, wow. You're going to get some tweets.
Freebird should be our national anthem.
DeVore, you talked about the internet affecting brains and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know if there's a direct correlation with the smartphone thing and the drug use, but I have no doubt that long-term studies are going to show that the use of smartphones and stuff like that is completely rewiring our brains.
Right, and turning us into the Borg.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
Singularity, Andy, it's coming.
Yeah. Madison, you talked about this being more about the fact that people can't afford drugs. I feel like anyone who wants drugs can afford drugs.
No, I don't agree
You just
with
give up other stuff like food.
No, but what if you don't have food or money?
You still.
Then how are
always
you
find
going
a
to
way
buy
get
drugs?
Let me tell you a story.
This is what I'm saying.
It's not a happy story,
This is what I'm
but it's
saying.
one that should be told about what happens when you really want that drug. I'll dance for you, Michael. I don't want to, but I gotta have it.
God. I'm now having Requiem for a Dream flashback. Kumia, you said smartphones just make people waste a lot of time when they could be doing stuff like playing Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about things that are addictive.
Yeah.
Let's talk about video games, because I think more so. I'm thinking about Horizon Zero Dawn right now. I don't even know what I'm saying.
I have, and video game time is like, it's like shifted time.
Oh, absolutely.
Workout time is the longest time you'll ever spend.
Yes.
Video game time is like, I'll be up in 5 minutes.
Right.
And then you come back, your girlfriend or wife's hair is different colors. You're older. And she's mad at you.
But you still, you are convinced it's 5 minutes.
Yes, because one more level.
Yeah,
I just got to get
absolutely.
one more level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, no, it really is. Climate change will lead to shrinking animals. Tom, why did you call this a negative aspect of climate change?
Because we want our animals the right size. You know, you ride a horse, you don't want your feet to touch in the ground.
Who's to say what the right size is?
Well, you're going to shrink too, though. So it's going to be proportionate.
I don't think we're going to shrink.
No.
We're going to be drinking our protein shakes and everything.
We can talk about that, Madison. And I was going to say this because DeVore, you said, well, humans are also mammals. The researchers say this does not apply to humans.
So no knee-high Kumia.
No,
Why?
so none of the guys have to worry about shrinkage.
Why wouldn't it apply?
I would love to hunt.
Why wouldn't it apply to humans, though?
Because we're going to get the crops and the food. You know, we'll get what we need. Those horsies are going to be chewing low-quality grass, and
We're
they're
going
going
to be dead.
Yeah, it has to do with the amount of fur or hair on your body or something like that.
I'll buy it. I don't care.
Yeah. And lastly, Anthony, you said if you shrink a horse, the message Don Corleone sends wouldn't be as impressive.
Yeah.
But you could have like a Lil Godfather series where they're all babies.
Lil, like L-I-apostrophe-L,
yeah.
Lil Godfather.
Yeah.
You're just throwing a great idea out there to the masses,
Right?
and it's going to get stolen.
I know.
PBS should take it up.
I know. I got to go file. I have to go because I need to file that with the WGA.
You can act like a man. What's the matter with you?
Thank you, Andy. Coming up, a woman with the most unfortunate name. Trust me, you'll be glad it's not yours. For one New Jersey woman, the digital assistants Alexa and Siri have ruined her life. Meet Alexa Siri. That's S-E-A-R-Y. The 21-year-old student shares her name with the two popular pieces of tech, a situation she describes as a waking nightmare.
It started off when my first manager at my other job called me Siri all the time. We talked through headphones. She would say, Siri, come get the papers here. Or, Siri, do that. So I was like, okay, all right.
While Siri admits to using Siri on her phone, she refuses to get the Amazon Echo and Alexa. But here's the crazy thing. Not only does she share Siri's name, she's able to sound exactly like her.
The weather is... I'm terrible. The weather is very windy outside.
Wow, that's a solid impression, right?
She does these impersonations. You'd think it was the real people.
Look, hey, it's trouble. She's got the. Would you change your name, Madison? I mean, like when you're in a cafe and someone orders the frozen Italian dessert known as Gessiotto, do you get confused?
No, I don't. But if I was a Alexa Siri, I would take advantage of it. I mean, she should be getting endorsements, try to go be, you know, the next face of Apple, the next face of Amazon. Use it to her advantage.
You're not
Make some
kidding.
money off this.
What's she doing? It's not a waking nightmare. She can. She's gonna. You know, she's on TV now. It's gonna work.
Exactly. Look, she's getting attention. And believe me, I have a friend. His name is Michael Hunt.
Yeah.
So he's got some issues
He
too
does.
to deal with.
I don't understand.
Let's just. Yeah, of course you don't.
Do you ever have him paged at the airport?
All the time. It's hilarious.
Why would Hunt Michael?
I don't know. It's just
I don't know.
people have.
It's one of those things. I have one of the Alexa units there, but I change it to Echo. I don't like just saying, because you could change it and say Echo, what's the weather or something like
Yes.
that. I don't like that. I like the clapper from the old days because it could do the same thing. It turns your lights out and it doesn't rat you out to the FBI.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You don't like
I'll
a
slap her.
human
Old
voice.
No, I don't like that at all. And it turns on out of nowhere. Like the other day, it turned on and started giving me an NPR update, and I didn't even ask for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, what is, I should just unplug it.
It's a problem not just for Alexa Siri. DeVore.
Yes. Yeah.
But people are, it orders you goods and services. You say something, and that a bunch of pantyhose shows up in the mail.
It could be the crowning achievement of capitalism that I'm in my apartment and I'm like, Alexa, my love, Alexa, the only woman who'll talk to me. Alexa, I need toilet paper, and then it shows up.
Yes.
It is an amazing thing.
You do love it. But it's funny, DeVore.
I don't know if I do love it, but I can't stop spending money.
Yeah. I don't get it, though, because guys like you and Andy Levy, who they like the privacy. They don't like people knowing things about them. I'm willy-nilly with my privacy, Google, all this other stuff. But you guys have the Alexa. I wouldn't get it.
Why not?
Because I don't like that speaker listening to me. I don't like it.
Okay. Well, you know what else listens to you is your microwave.
Yeah, it does.
He doesn't have that either. He got rid of
a few
it.
days ago.
It's good.
Michael, what do you think?
Michael Malice. Look at DeVore. DeVore wants to host the show.
Can we put Alexa's picture up?
Alexa's picture? Yeah. Oh, you mean Alexa Siri?
Alexa Siri.
I'm sure we can do. I mean, you're not allowed to call for pictures, but I am. So go ahead and put her picture up there.
This is not going to be the face of anything. With those highlights and that limp hair and those eyebrows.
What are you talking?
Wow. I mean, maybe she'd be the Pringles
great
can.
looking. No.
You are shaming.
Look at her. She's fantastic.
She's hideous.
Alexa Siri.
And horrible. And I agree with you about the unit because it sounds like Hal from the Space Odyssey.
2001.
It's too calm. It's too creepy.
Yeah.
I don't want it watching me when I'm strolling around the house in my boxers or not.
Yeah.
That's me time. So no games allowed.
Look, eventually you can fight it, but eventually your entire smart house is going to be voice activated. And it's going to be there for you.
I don't know why. To be Madison, I like typing. You can type it quickly. If you want toilet paper, it doesn't take that long to type it, so I don't want it listening to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have one. I won't get one, and I agree with you. And in regards to Miss Alexa Siri, I think she could be the face of it, and I think she was very personable and funny in her videos.
Fantastic. All right, Michael Malice. I don't like that attitude.
That's a
Coming up,
answer.
should you eat food that's been dropped on the floor? The 5-second rule is just minutes away. Most people aren't afraid to eat food that fell on the floor. They follow the 5-second rule. But what's the rush? A new scientific study claims that some hard or dry foods can be left for up to 30 minutes. Researchers say not only do they not pick up much bacteria on impact with the floor, but they do not get any additional contamination over time. Here is a helpful chart. Sandwiches, cookies, and dry toast can stay on the floor for half an hour. But with donuts, potato chips, and pasta, you should still follow the 5-second rule. So next time you drop spaghetti, pick it up quickly, shove it in your mouth. Don't wait, guys. Don't wait. But Madison, cookies can stay on the floor for, till the show's over.
Okay, I know you follow me online,
Yeah.
and pretty much all I eat is pasta and sweets. So this story didn't really apply to me. I'm still picking up my food pretty quick when I drop it.
Some sweets you can, a cookie, leave it on the floor.
I'm not a cookie person. I'm a donut person. Donuts
Okay.
are on the 5-second rule.
I don't know why potato chips weren't on the 30-minute rule. Potato chips are hard. Did you understand that?
Maybe it's because they have salt and oil on them, and the oil would pick up the bacteria more quickly.
How do you know
That could be the smartest thing said tonight.
It is. That's. I want to know how she knows. How do you know How do you know I follow you? Can you see when I click, or do you just know I follow you? That's all you know?
No, because we tweeted each other.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would make sense. You would tweet at me if you follow me.
Yes, that's true.
Unless you're creeping on me when you don't follow me.
I'm not.
Tom.
But sometimes, if something's exciting going on, you're at a big game.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see the Instagram. Michael.
How come everyone else here follows me and you don't?
I do.
No, you don't.
I follow a Michael Malice.
Not on Twitter.
Oh, well, I don't know who it is.
Wait, is there really another
I
one?
follow some handsome tanned guy.
Is this a Highlander moment? There can be only one. No, listen, what happens with food, it's not like when you get food, you inject it into your bloodstream. You put it inside you, there's a bag of acid that dissolves and destroys it.
Is that how it works?
Well, yeah, now you know.
Oh, zoology major.
That's
over
biology.
Here.
It's not just.
Sure, it's an ology.
Many animals don't actually have stomachs. The point is, DeVore, I almost lost my train of thought. We've evolved for billions of years to have dirt in our food and all sorts of disgusting.
Yeah.
And the paleo people think it's actually a good thing to have dirt in your food because it builds up immunity diseases.
That's what I I say to my kids, eat the food off the floor, you're going to build up immunity. What do you think, Anthony?
That's good. You don't have to get them inoculated or anything. Well, it's directly proportional to how hungry you are. I remember as a kid, I was in school one day, and my dad out in California, not the most responsible guy. You know, it wasn't like breakfast, so I was starving pretty much. And I saw a cookie under the lockers. And I ate it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how long it's been under there, but I was starving. Now, if I drop a cookie on the floor, I'll throw the whole bag away.
Yeah.
Because I'm wealthy now and I don't care.
And you're a little, you're getting like that Howard Hughes thing, right?
Yes. Wow. And bring in the milk.
DeVore, we only have 12 seconds left, so say something quick.
I knew about this years ago. I've been eating stuff off the floor my entire life. So scientists, I was ahead of you.
Good night.